Ever feel like someone took the traditional business playbook and, like, left it out in the sun too long?
Yeah, kind of dried out and brittle.
Exactly. Well, good news is, for this deep dive, we are tossing that thing out and grabbing something way more exciting.
Definitely more exciting.
We're diving into ReWork by Jason Fried, the mastermind behind Basecamp.
And he is not afraid to, like, shake things up in the business world. Not one bit.
No, he is not afraid to break the mold. So if you are ready to ditch that stuffy old suit, forget those intimidating business plans everyone says you need.
Oh, you mean those ones that are like 100 pages long and nobody ever reads?
Yes. And you're ready to, uncover a simpler, more refreshing path to success.
This is for you.
It's one's for you.
I mean, honestly, that whole you need $1 million and an MBA just to start a business, it's enough to make anyone want to stay in bed.
Right. It's like, who has that lying around?
I know.
It's like trying to climb Mount Everest, but you're wearing, like, flip-flops.
Exactly. But the beauty of ReWork, and Fried, keep in mind, has been successfully running Basecamp for decades.
Decades, yeah.
He cuts through all that noise, and he's all about proving that being an entrepreneur, it's not this, like, exclusive club. It's not just for the elite, It's actually achievable.
Achievable.
It's relatable, even, dare I say, enjoyable.
Okay, enjoyable is definitely what we want to hear.
Yeah.
And Fried has this mantra, and it sounds like the recipe for a really exciting business venture. He says, solve your problem with less and then pick a fight.
I love that.
I know, right? But before you start, like, challenging people to duels and stuff.
Wait, we're not talking about fist fights here.
No. Let's break it down. So what's this whole solve your problem concept?
Okay. It's about, like, tapping into something that you really get, a problem that you've actually lived.
Yeah.
Like, Fried uses the example of Vic Firth, the drummer.
Oh, yeah.
So he was getting so frustrated with, like, how inconsistent drumsticks were. So what did he do? He starts making his own in his basement.
Smart.
And fast forward, he's basically running the drumstick world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so instead of trying to come up with some product or service you think people might want,
Yeah.
you start with a problem that you actually genuinely get. You've been there.
Exactly. And it's not just him. Think about Bill Bowerman, the co-founder of Nike.
Yeah.
So he's a track coach. He's fed up with all the clunky running shoes out there.
Right. They were terrible back then.
So what does he do? He uses a waffle iron to make the first Nike prototype.
Oh my gosh. I love that. There's something so brilliant about that because it wasn't some big marketing scheme,
I know.
It was literally a solution that was born out of, like, a real genuine need.
Exactly.
And speaking of genuine need, didn't Fried create Basecamp out of kind of a similar frustration?
Absolutely, yeah. He and his team, they just needed a better system to manage their own projects.
Yeah, makes sense.
So they built it themselves. No overthinking, no years of doing market research, just pure laser focus on solving their own problem.
Wow.
And look at them now.
So smart. It's like that aha moment where you realize, but what I find so fascinating is when you're solving a problem you've actually experienced,
Yeah.
you have this insider knowledge, this gut feeling about it that I don't think you can replicate any other way.
Exactly. And that understanding, right, it leads to quicker and, more importantly, better decisions because you're not just guessing what your customer wants.
Right.
You are the customer.
It's so true.
You've lived through the pain points, you know the workarounds, and that, my friend, is an incredible advantage.
So we've got this solve your problem thing down.
Jack?
But then he hits us with less.
Right.
And that feels a little counterintuitive, don't you think?
Yeah.
Because we are constantly being told we need investors and a team of experts and tons of resources to even get a business off the ground.
Oh, it's so easy to fall into that trap, though.
Right.
You think you need all this stuff?
Yeah.
We think we need the nice-to-haves. He says they are not must-haves.
Yeah.
They're nice-to-haves, and he's not just, saying that. He actually launched Basecamp on a shoestring budget.
Totally. They were sharing office space. They were running their software on, like, a single server. I don't even think they had a customer support team at first.
Nope.
It's like they were, like, intentionally embracing limitations.
There's something really freeing about that, though. It's like being resourceful and scrappy and just making the most out of what you have. And honestly, I think that's where a lot of the really creative solutions come from.
I totally agree. It's like, necessity is the mother of invention. Right?
Absolutely.
And then he's like, okay, now that you've done that, go pick a fight.
Oh, boy, here we go.
I know, right? I love that part.
I know. Before we start, like taking over our competition's offices and stuff.
Right. It's not like a hostile takeover situation.
No, 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 not at all. This is all about strategy.
Okay. So what kind of fight are we talking about here?
Well, it's about, making a statement, having a point of view, standing out in the market,
Oh, okay.
maybe even ruffling a few feathers along the way.
I like it.
So, think about Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay.
They basically built a brand around being the anti-Starbucks.
I was just going to say that's such a good example.
Yeah.
Because it's like they're not saying Starbucks is bad.
No.
They're just like, hey, if you want to go wait in line for an hour and order some complicated drink with like 17 syllables.
With oat milk?
Yes.
Yeah.
With oat milk, go for it. But if you want a good regular cup of coffee.
And a donut.
Yeah. Come on over here. We're ready for you.
We got you.
Yes.
And it works.
Totally. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to be like a little cheeky about it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I remember those Audi commercials.
The ones where they were making fun of Lexus and Mercedes?
Yes. Those were so good.
Oh, you were good.
They were a little edgy. They were fun. But it worked.
It did, because it created that, oh, these guys are different.
Yeah.
You've got to have the guts to be different.
And they're not afraid.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So that's picking a fight done right.
Yeah.
It gets people talking, and it positions you as this really bold alternative when everyone else is just doing the same old thing.
I'm on board.
And, sometimes picking a fight can actually mean embracing the power of less. He calls it one downing.
One downing. Okay, now I need to hear more about this.
It's kind of wild, right? Because we live in a world where it's all about more, more, more. But Freed's out here saying, what if less was the secret weapon?
Okay, I am intrigued. So how does one downing work in practice?
So he gives this example of this like super minimalist coffee shop in New York City.
Okay, I think I know the one you're talking about.
And they've only got a handful of drinks on the menu, but they have perfected every single one.
So it's like that saying, jack of all trades, master of none.
Exactly.
By narrowing your focus, you're saying, we're not even going to try to please everyone.
Right.
We're just going to be the absolute best at this one thing, which I love.
It's like you go to a restaurant, right, and the chef has this 5-course tasting menu.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know it's going to be good.
There's confidence there.
Exactly. You know it's going to be good. And actually, you know what? We're kind of doing a little one downing ourselves with this podcast.
Oh, wait, really? How so?
Well, we're not trying to be like the be-all and end-all of business podcasts, right?
Sure, there are a lot of podcasts out there.
There are a ton.
Yeah.
But we chose to one down by focusing on these deep dives.
Right.
Providing this level of detail and analysis.
Right, that you wouldn't get if you were just like scrolling through a 5-bullet point summary of ReWork, which is great because our listeners seem to love that. They really appreciate it.
I think they do. And it's like anything, right? When you limit your choices, you're actually creating more value.
That is so true. It's like that paradox of choice.
It is.
When you have fewer options, you're forced to like really think about them.
You really hone in on what matters. You hone in on your strengths.
Right.
And I think that's what he's getting at.
So to kind of bring it all back to Jason Fried's brilliant, slightly rebellious mantra.
I love it.
Solve your problem with less and then pick a fight.
Yeah.
It really is about like approaching business with this incredible sense of purpose.
Yeah. It's about being authentic.
And authenticity.
It's about having the guts to say, we're going to do things differently and it's going to work.
Yeah. I love that. And that's what we want you to take away from this deep dive. It's not about following this like rigid set of rules that someone else wrote. It's about finding inspiration in unconventional wisdom.
Yeah.
And then having the guts to actually do things differently. Because I really do believe, like you were saying, that's where true innovation.
That's where it's at.
And lasting success comes from.
For sure.
So as you go about your week, we want to leave you with this. What is that one problem that keeps you up at night?
Yeah, the one you think about all the time.
And what is the solution that maybe only you are uniquely positioned to provide?
And how are you going to do it with less?
Yes. How are you going to embrace that less is more mentality and then go pick a fight?
Pick a fight. I love it. We want to hear all about it. And of course, we always recommend checking out the source material for yourself. ReWork by Jason Fried.
Such a good read.
So many good insights.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those entrepreneurial sparks flying.
See you next time.